I saw that. Yeah, I saw it on Facebook. It was posted on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
With Regine Nielsen and Cynthia Rothwick and Vivica Fox and everything.
Yeah.
And there, believe it or not, there was a TV movie called The Expendables, but it was women in it. They were all these women who were in jail. I think they were in the military. They were all in jail, and they sent all these people, these women, on this mission.
Ah.
So there was a movie called Expendables, but it was with women who were in prison.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Sly's gonna have another lawsuit on his hands. From Chuck Webner to Expendables.
Crazy. And that movie, I mentioned how the first Expendables with these women was it was on USA, and it came out in 1999 or 2000. So that was a long time ago. So, and of course there was another movie called Expendables, but it was like kind of like the Dirty Dozen in Vietnam. So there was another movie called Expendables before this franchise.
Huh. That's interesting. That's very interesting. It sucks for us up-and-comers who think we have a good name for a movie and then we get screwed to find out that somebody else has that name.
They do that a lot. I hate when they do that. It's like the same thing with songs, you know. You've got this one song that the title fits for, you got this other song that has the same name. I hate that. It drives me nuts. Especially with that movie Frozen.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet, but I know about it. Yeah, Frozen.
No, are you talking? You know which one I'm talking about? Not the animated movie, the other one.
With the kids in the ski lift?
Yeah.
That's fucked up. When the kid gets eaten by the wolf?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That's
too.
the movie that movie deserves more talk than this other movie.
Yeah, the real Frozen. Let's see them do that in a Disney flick. I want to see. I want to see someone pee themselves in a Disney movie, and I want to see someone get eaten alive by wolves. That'd be amazing.
Oh, a way better movie than that other one. I'll tell you much, because that song, I saw a lot of people ranting about this movie, and especially that song. That's completely annoying. Oh God.
Woo. Oh my goodness.
Another interesting thing I liked about the script, the script about this script was how in the movie they shot how Trotman had that confrontation with Murdoch after Rambo was left behind.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one it was different because Trotman had a gun and he was like threatening Murdoch.
Mm-hmm.
It would have worked easier if Trotman had the gun, and because a lot of people, I know a lot of fans were wondering why didn't Trotman have a gun and threaten Murdoch to do it for the movie they shot. So yeah, it was good to see that in the script.
And at the end, he comes back again with that AK-47 in the helicopter on Erickson, and because they're told to kill Rambo. Yeah, that's true, because if you think about it, even though there was rank going there and Colonel was and the Colonel was under the rank, still when you think about it, Troutman trained Rambo, right? So Troutman is a Rambo in himself.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Troutman could have skinned Murdoch alive, you know? So, yeah.
Exactly. See, that's exactly. You made the point right there.
Yeah.
So I think that's what. So despite how many fans love the second film, they still have flaws with it because of what I mentioned about Trotman.
Yeah.
that he should have done something.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that. And I find, like, in the novel, they kind of amp it up a bit more. Troutman's amped up a bit more than in the script. But I can see that. And, like, they do that with a lot of characters. They do that with Ko. They do it with, like, Podofsky and Erickson. In the novel, Erickson's co-pilot, Lifer, you know the guy who's like, no, not our man, your man, that guy?
Your man, no, your man, don't be a hero.
Yeah, don't be a hero. The guy who looks like the guy from WKRP in Cincinnati. He's actually a meth head. His character is actually a meth head.
In the book or the script?
In the book. Might be in the script, I'm not sure, but I remember reading in the book that first he was like on a lot of methamphetamine. During the scene where Rambo does the halo jump, they have like a whole big conversation where Rambo walks into the cockpit and he's looking down at Vietnam from the airplane or from the jet, and Lifer's all fucked up and they're having this conversation and Rambo goes back to jump, and I would assume a lot of that, maybe that's why Rambo gets hung up. They don't say it, but I would kind of assume. And then yeah, that halo jump. Even though there was like a minute of that was taken out, we'll probably put that up next week. There was a minute that was taken out of there that I found on that Mike Chapman sent me. In the book, there's like a scene where he after he lands, like the footage stops when he lands, but after when he's landing, he does it in a certain way because he doesn't want to get sawed in half on the trees or the rocks or anything. And then there's that whole scene with him like bearing his parachute and all that, and some of those pictures are online. I came across them about 2 weeks ago.
I remember. I actually saw the lead scene when they played the TV version back in 2003.
Okay, that's an awesome deleted scene. Like,
oh yeah,
that's phenomenal. Yeah, I lost my track of where I was going before, though. Yeah. But yeah, they played up like that a lot with the different characters, you know, like, they really give them a lot more of an edge, a lot more of a history. And even in the James Cameron script, they kind of go that way. But, you know, it's not 100% fully realized, but I guess, you know, at the time, James Cameron didn't know, you know, who would know, you know, from then till now, what it would have became, right? So, it was really cool. And when you kind of think of, like, I couldn't help but, like, when I was reading that, reading this script, I could not help but imagine it in, you know, the very familiar James Cameron style of cinematography. You know, like how he shot Terminator and how he shot, like, True Lies and that great cinematography style. So when I'm reading it, it's almost like in my head I'm watching a James Cameron movie. You know?
Yeah, I see your point. It kind of made me wonder how it would have been like if he directed it. It could have ended up like a little bit like True Lies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I said last time that, like, it's like Cameron saw the success of Rambo 2 and how he was involved in that, and he wanted to add some of that with aliens.
Yeah.
He wanted to do his version of Rambo with Ripley, and the whole movie with the Marines is like. I believe he came up with that story while he was writing Rambo.
Yeah.
And how a success it was. I believe he came up with that story after the success of Rambo 2. I think he wanted. I think when he realized how he became part of a phenomenon, a little bit of a phenomenon that wasn't really his. Besides Terminator, I think he felt like I could do my own Rambo.
Yeah.
So he came up with Aliens.
And I noted that all three of those scripts were optioned at the same time or around the same time. Like,
yeah.
He was working around the clock on different things before they started getting put into production. But yeah, like...
Yeah, because I remember... Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, very quickly, like how we were saying yesterday about the loader scene. I remember seeing a clip regarding the loader scene, and it reminded me exactly of Rambo First Blood Part 2 when he's gearing up to go on the mission, you know?
Exactly. And it's like... and the whole reference, like you mentioned on one of your shows, about a character named John Jay.
Yeah.
And Aliens.
Yeah.
That's like another clue how he wanted it to be, like how he wanted this movie as big as like Rambo.
Mm-hmm. Because they bring it up one time in First Blood, and then they don't talk about it. Wait, no, actually twice. They bring it up twice. They don't talk about it again after that. They bring it up once when they're reading the dog tags, and once when when it comes over the teletype. And then in Rambo First Blood Part 2, they kind of have that, they bring a little bit more of a history into it. But with Aliens, it's weird because I have like the director's cut, like I think it's almost 3 hour director's cut, and they bring it up, like the scene where they're in the laboratory, and Paul Reiser goes to look at the face hugger, and it slaps against the thing, and it's like, oh, and Hicks is like, oh, she likes you, and then yeah, they bring it up in there too when they're looking at one of the people, one of the bodies. Yeah. So yeah, I would love to ask him about that. That's what I want. I wanted to ask David Morrell about that, but I didn't get to ask him what the J initial was for. And it's weird because he brought it up, and I was like, ask him about the J initial. Ask him about the J initial. And then he just kind of swooned me. You know, like I was just so invested into what he was saying that I completely forgot to ask him. Like completely. So we're gonna have to ask him that when we talk.
Yeah, I heard the J initial was James, John James Rambo.
Wow, I like that. There's a mystery that's solved. Yeah. I also want to ask him about the astral projection references from First Blood. I forgot to ask him that too. I had like maybe 20 questions I didn't get to ask him. I think I asked him 4 or 5 questions. But yeah.
You know what? I should think of asking him about the other actors who were chosen to play Rambo. I would love to ask him about that. About like John. Speaking of John Travolta was one of the original choices.
Yep, and Burt Reynolds, and a couple other people too.
Steve McQueen, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and speaking of Tatum O'Neal, I mentioned Ryan O'Neal was one of the original choices.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah. It's like 7 degrees of whatever. It all links.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, like I mentioned, why I wanted her in supporting Rambo.
Mm-hmm.
Want her in be part of supporting Rambo.
Yeah, I think we got a good shot with supporting Rambo. I think if we do like everything smartly, I think we got a really, really good shot at it. I think, you know, like in the end, the only thing I think that they would maybe have a problem with is the name, but I'm pretty sure, like,